Well, you know what? We were happy and proud to bring you guys content that wasn't doom and gloom and stuff, but
apparently people really want to spend their $1,500 wrong.
So I was reading through the comments and I tasked Phil with go through the comments and find some really stupid ones that we could respond to today, because I'm really disappointed in a lot of you. Like, I get disappointed in the YouTube audience as a whole, not just like my channel, but like as a whole. Like, we can agree the collective comments are really bad. So I asked Phil, I said, go find some of the ones that really stand out to you, that really seem like they don't get it type comments. And this is gonna trigger a lot of you and you might even unsub. I don't care. I truly cannot care less if the negativity that you bring is gone. So please, GTFO and let the door hit you on the way out. But this email comes from Phil and it's called Dumb Comments That Are Dumb from People That Are Dumb. I didn't choose them, Phil did. So it's completely unbiased at this point. I'm already salty AF. Y'all just triggered Phil too. So Nick's actually gone for a wedding. We're gonna rerun some of these tests because you guys are that dumb. So let's go ahead and go through some of these. And what better sponsor than Be Quiet, for obvious reasons. If you're serious about your aim, your mouse actually matters more than people think. And this is Be Quiet's new Dark Perk gaming mouse. Now what I like is that they don't do the usual one shape fits nobody approach. You've got two options, the Sim, which is a classical symmetrical design, and the Ergo, if you want something that's actually fits your hand for longer sessions. It's also super lightweight, which makes a bigger difference than people realize, and less fatigue, easier micro adjustments, and just better overall control. And inside you get the PixArt PAW3950 sensor, up to 32,000 DPI, and 8,000 Hertz polling. So yeah, this is top tier tracking, and no weird acceleration, no spin outs, and just exactly what you expect your mouse to do. And the clicks feel really nice too. These are optical Omron switches, so they're fast, consistent, and a little softer than the typical click, which is great for long sessions. And then the part that people overlook, it's 100% PTFE skates with rounded edges, which means this thing glides smooth, predictable, and with no drag. Oh, and with up to 110 hours of battery life, so you're not constantly plugging it in. So if you're trying to get every little advantage you can in competitive gaming, this is one of those upgrades you'll actually notice. So check out the Be Quiet Dark Perk mouse in the link in the description below. Now this is gonna be obviously a lot of satire, and I know I'm speaking to like maybe 3% of you in this, but sometimes the 3% deserve to just kind of be called out and ridiculed when deserved. So the first one here, Nick's rig needs to be unborked and retested. I get that there are time constraints due to the nature of—
We did unbork the system, that's why we said—
So we had to do a full wipe of this system. It's also why it was working in the video. KLK Cruise, KLK, whatever stupid name that is, says Jay cheated, saying it was a one and done, and then repeating the test with a stable overclock. Shake my head. I removed the overclock! For benchmarks, you do at least 3 runs, sometimes 4. I know Gamers Nexus does an average of 4 runs. What I meant was this is not an average of 3 runs, and the reason why that matters is some runs will score higher or lower than others, and then you average them. Welcome to averages. I use Scrapyard Wars rules on this one, which is where if you have an overclock applied and you can't get through the test, or you crash any of the gaming tests, you have to revert said overclock and start from the beginning again, so you don't get to have the benefit of the overclock working on certain titles and not on others. What I didn't do was remove the additional power limit to the card, which is now removed today when we rerun those tests. But it's not cheating if a card is capable of doing something and we do it. Clearly it wasn't capable of adding or running as much memory as I applied to it, so I took the core overclock wasn't working at all anyway, and I took the memory overclock off. This one's a lot less toxic, but it's a comment that was worth responding to because it does have some weight. It says, I think the tuning bit should have been a collab effort on all machines. The whole contest was the parts they pick. He says, tuning is a skill which shouldn't deduct points. First of all, it didn't deduct points. You just didn't get additional points. That's not a deduction. If you didn't earn them and they weren't taken away, it's not a deduction. Jay, we know the future-proof issue is not your drive speed, it's the future of the socket. Intel 12th gen, 13th gen, and 14th gen all ran on Z590. 1851 is expected to support 3 generations of Ultra. We are technically at generation 1.5. Just because Intel said the socket will be supported through 26 does not mean that is suddenly when it's no longer going to be like workable or have upgrades available to it. We have to try and base the future off of what the past is. And the past said that there were 3 generations that worked at least with, I forget the socket, 1700, it was 1700. But the point is, I have future generation CPU, at least one of them available to this. I could go with Core Ultra Plus, which is a half gen technically, and whatever the whole new gen for that's going to be. We only are 2 generations in to AM5, and guess what? AM6 rumors are already swirling. So then nobody gets the points if we're gonna use the whole whether or not we've got a magic genie here. But it was only 10 points. It doesn't make a difference to these scores, and you'll see, because we're gonna run them all again. I think if Nick's system was overclocked in any way, it might have made things a bit closer. His GPU really doesn't have any overclocking headroom in it. His CPU doesn't overclock. You can undervolt, and that's about it, which might give you a little bit longer boost clock if your temperatures are not able to be kept in check. Yeah, this video is irritating. He built a computer to match the scoring system. No, I built the computer to get the highest score for gaming it.
That's what you're supposed to do in a competition.
It's not fair. He built the race car to go fast.
It's not fair. They put the ball in the basket.
And then it says, while other guys aimed for the all-around PC. First of all, Phil didn't aim for anything. AI did it. It's like you guys fucking forgot. It wasn't Jay versus Phil versus Nick. It was Jay versus AI versus salesman. Jay lots of nonsense just to arrive at a preconceived conclusion that he can build a PC better than his employees. It was me versus AI versus salesman, ya dumb f***.
I'm sorry, but we can't understand a concept for you.
So let's talk about overclocking real quick. So I did this. Super basic, right? I clicked CPU overclocking in the Adrenaline driver. No, it's not Ryzen Master. You know why? Because when I use Ryzen Master, you guys get your panties in a bunch too. So I'm not using Ryzen Master. I just did a one-click overclock, which gave us 200 megahertz. That is all PBO technically allows, is 200 megahertz. You've got to manually tune if you want higher than that. So we ran the scores again. Nick got a 17,704. What did he get the other day? 17,795. Congrats on your score loss. Let's go ahead and run mine. I'm going to lose score because I had very overclocked E-cores. So my score the other day was a 38,066. And it's got a 35,780. So obviously that's a loss of 2,300 points, which is about right. The E-cores carry a lot of weight in Cinebench. I'm gonna go ahead and throw these scores in here real quick on my new sheet, because I am gonna run through all these tests again and see what the scores would look like with all of these dumb comments taken into account. So Phil and I just discussed it. We're gonna leave the quote unquote CPU overclocked button selected in the Adrenaline software for Nick's computer moving forward. So in Geekbench, he just got a 14,951 against Phil's not overclocked 7700X, which everyone said would beat it. 15,382, still beaten Phil, sorry. Versus the 21,335 of the 265KF. Times by CPU score, Nick got a pretty decent improvement in that one, 13,296. Actually edged out Phil's 13,138. So he actually got a pretty decent improvement on that one. I went from a 17,099 to a 17,218 with removing the overclock. So anyway, now people are gonna be like, you should be doing averages. Like,
Yeah.
So my score is 100% of the score. Phil, you're in second place, and then Nick's behind you. So I'm gonna go ahead and run through the games right now. We'll show you the results as we go, and then we're not even gonna do storage. That's not gonna change. Literally, I gave all the score to Nick, Phil, and then basically I got 2.5 points again based on the just the capacity. And then I'm not giving myself any future compatibility. I'm gonna go ahead and concede and say, fine, you guys are all super salty over the fact that I went Intel and then we'll just see if those 10 points made a difference. All right, Cyberpunk is done. 65.65 for me, I lost 2 FPS. Phil lost 5 FPS from his overclock, and then Nick is exactly where he was. Actually, he gained 0.1 of an FPS. He was at 37.0, now he's at 37.1 with rounding.
But as an X3D, how come it's not better at gaming?
Because his GPU sucks. Anyway, I want to point this out. Someone's going to point this out and be like, look, it's a different version. 10.0.26100 versus 10.0.26200. We went through all updates. All updates are identical. We think that's going to be a subversion variant because of the X3D scheduler. That's the only thing we can assume. All updates are complete. Both systems are completely updated to be whatever they can be. For some reason, that one shows 100 versus 200, and we think it's the X3D reason. But that is not a performance reason. Okay, so 136 average. You had a 101. You had a 111. You lost almost 10%. But you had a big overclock going there. And then Nick had an average of 75, and then he had an average of 74.
But X3D!
He gained an FPS. Okay, so I had a 121.6 in our previous test, so I just had a 121.38. You know why I'm not losing score? Because my GPU wasn't overclocked. So if anything, all that's happened here is I'm getting the same score at less wattage, which means I'm gonna get better efficiency, but I lost the efficiency before, so I might win the efficiency, which means I might get more points than I would have by now following your guys' claim of my cheating.
Yeah.
Phil went from a 106.7 to a 99.9. Wow. He went from a 72.1 to a 72.5. X3D! So, literally nothing changed on the results, except your guys' percentages. All right, so I'm doing the efficiency test. I was pulling 334 watts before with the 10% power limit. Obviously, the power limit is removed. I wanted to show you that. So 304 watts is what I'm putting in here as for the efficiency test. Now, I haven't been losing score in actual gaming. I don't think I'm gonna necessarily lose score here in Time Spy. It's about to finish right now, and we'll kind of put that score in real time, but this is only going to boost my efficiency, my points per watt. Okay, so here's my result at 304 watts versus 334, 13,834. Ignore the CPU score, I just didn't uncheck it. Phil dropped a lot because of his GPU overclock being removed. So he got 10,993. Whereas the other day he had an 11,579. Nick got a 7407. He actually gained 100 points somehow. All right, I'm a 46, you're a 44. He 0.6 versus your 0.0.
Wow, so I'm now in third place for GPU efficiency.
When you were first, because your card was overclocking to the moon without needing power. Game changing! So essentially nothing changes there. The efficiency still lands exactly where it lands, but the points percentages are what changed. So, all right, there we go. And I took 0 points on the, I took 0 points for the upgrade compatibility, which I think is complete bullshit, but whatever. Let's take a look at the winners. Are you ready? Come over here, Phil. I have Apostle 165. I have 135.7. Phil has a 125.6. Nick has a 119.8. Okay, if you made it this far into the video and dealt with that much salt and ego, congratulations. Now you know what my wife has to go through every single day. No, on a serious note though, look, obviously I leaned into the ego, I leaned into the salt, I leaned into the, look, you guys are gonna paint me to be a certain way, I'm gonna act that way. But the reality here is the fact that the system's overall balance and stuff didn't change. My system still won, and it has some caveats. It has some things about it that are not as good as I would like. I'd like a better power supply, I'd like a better storage device and such, but I don't. Nick's system would actually be really, really good at esports. In fact, we tested that a little bit offline because of the fact that somebody made a comment that Nick's system would shit all over Phil's and mine, and we're like, no, it wouldn't. And then we looked at CS too, and we were like, oh shit, that kind of changes some things. Like a 9060 XT is beating a 9070 XT with a 7800 X3D in it by like 200 FPS at 1080p low. So that sparked a whole nother video idea we want to do about what an esports machine is versus a gaming rig, because they're not the same use case. But we didn't even bother including that, even though we thought about it, because that's not what these systems were built for. They were not built for esports. But thanks for that comment anyway, because it actually initially seemed trolly, but it was very more so true than Phil and I both thought it would have been. But at the end of the day here, it's still on my shoulders to convey the information to you guys in a way that you can understand. It's also my fault for just assuming a lot of the stuff would be automatically understood. Some things have to be said, like for instance, the one and done. Nick and Phil both knew what I meant. It meant we're doing one run, not one run, and if it crashes, you're fucked. It's one full run. You get through the run. If it crashes at all during any of the 3 gaming benchmarks because of an overclock, you remove the overclock, you go back to the beginning and you run them again. That way it's not like you had a Cyberpunk and an F1 run that was overclocked, but then like Horizon would it, and then you just get to get a slightly lower score in Horizon. No, it would affect the whole thing, so you start over. Those are Scrapyard Wars rules, which is what I carried over into this. The reason why I refer to it as one and done is normally when we do our benchmarks around here, we run an average of 3 or 4 runs, depending on what the test may be. So this was not going to be an average of 3, and the reason why that is one score could be a couple hundred points higher than another score, or maybe a couple hundred points lower, depending, and then you average the 3. This just meant whatever that first full run was is what you got. That's what I meant by one and done. Not you click go one time and if it crashes, 0 points, because like I've already pointed out a million times, people were arguing that, oh, well, you should have gotten 0 points. Well, then Nick's, like I've said it before, Nick's system would have got a 0 across the board because people kept thinking it crashed during the setup phase. No, it crashed when, and borked when Nick went to run the first test. I stepped in to help him to get it to work, and then when it decided to keep doing it, Phil stepped in to do the full system wipe and make it work. So, if we hadn't, in the spirit of good sportsmanship, stepped in and helped Nick, he would have had a big fat 0, because I guarantee he would have had a problem troubleshooting that one. It was very, very strange. But you know what? That's if you guys want to get nitty gritty like that, then I guess that would make things very, very interesting. But I mean, it just shows, like, I get it. It's my name on the channel. You guys love to see me lose, right? You guys love to see Linus lose. Heck, some of you guys even love to see Steve lose. And so I get it. That's fine. But it's just so surprising that you guys took it so personal on Phil and Nick's behalf when neither of those systems were built, or not built, but picked by them. So even Phil and Nick were like, if we lose, so what? It doesn't represent their picks. And in fact, Phil even said he gives the 265 KF more credit than he would have before this video, because he literally thought it was a much worse performer than it is. And I'm a little surprised too. Like I said, I went Intel just to be different, and I was a little surprised by it. But I think when it comes to the upgrade part of our next video, where we go into season 2 of this, where we now have upgrade paths and have to see who can, on a fixed budget, get more performance now by upgrading stuff, I think I'm a little screwed, because I sort of meted out on the amount of money that we had to where I don't really have any major components I can upgrade. To be honest, I'm a little worried about that. So Nick's got the right CPU to move forward, and if he gets a better CPU in there, or GPU in there, depending on how much he can make up for it, I think his GPU can carry the CPU score.
I just want to say one thing about, like, whenever you guys are always just like, oh, Jay likes to beat up on his employees and everything. What those comments do is remove me and Nick's agency, as if, like, we would never say anything if Jay tried to pull a fast one on us in a competition.
They talk shit about me to my face here at work.
Yeah.
It's like they think you guys are scared to speak up for yourselves.
I don't know why, but that pisses me off so much. Like, it's like, no, Jay would not be able to get away with anything, because me and Nick are probably more trolly than him if we really wanted to.
Hey, you want to play games? No, you always beat me. Tell no one.
Hey man, you wanna play some video games? No way, dude, you always beat me.
Tell no one!
So anyway, that's it. I mean, we wanted to have fun with this. We wanted to give you guys some entertaining content and stuff, and y'all took it way too far, way too serious, and honestly, way more personal than I did. It's just, if y'all are gonna like peg me to be the egotistical bully, then I'm just gonna play the part. Fuck it. I told you guys a few videos ago, I'm done trying to like bow to you guys. And so that's not happening anymore. So I have every right to defend myself against stupid comments as much as you guys have the right to make them. It's just, if you're gonna make them, expect what comes back your way, right? Without being like, you're so mean to an audience. Because I'm not mean to my audience. I'm mean to the trolls, and I'm mean to people that are very disrespectful about the way they go about certain things. And yeah, stop pretending like my employees don't have their own brains, because they do. And trust me when I say they dish it as much as they get it. Anyway, I just want to end with, like, stop being so freaking personal about this sort of stuff. I mean, no, I mean, seriously, like, it's like the X3D fanboys are over here like, how dare this CPU lose at any test? And I'm over here with like, I just wanted to be different. How dare Jay use Intel, that fucking shill? But I think at the end of the day, what happens here is, those of you that also watch Gamers Nexus, think you're as smart as Steve. You're not.